you were the man behind all the information for a potential Jamal Adams to Dallas Cowboys trade. And this allegedly almost took place last season at the trade deadline. Now it's popping back up this offseason. Is there anything to this? Will this ever happen? And why is Jamal Adams so mad about this whole thing?
I mean, there's something to it because Jamal Adams wants to get paid. He wants his extension after year 3 of his rookie deal. And the Jets are sitting there and going, look, go look at some of the best defensive players from recent classes. You have Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald. These are guys who actually played through year 4. Christian McCaffrey is the only guy from that 2017 class to get extended. So the Jets are just sitting there saying, look, if you want that extension, that's fine, but that's a 2020 issue. That's not a 2021 issue. That's not a 2020 issue. We're not going to get to it now. And, you know, look, I think Jamal, George Adams, his dad was a first-round pick, you know, in the NFL, played for the Giants. I mean, there's some family stuff going on here in terms of the advisement. And, you know, look, Jamal's had a burn in his saddle since the trade deadline last year. I don't think he liked the fact that the Jets picked up the phone when the Cowboys called. And conversely, I think what's interesting in this, and I think this is a little bit of a wrench in this process, you know, Michael Irvin comes out and he says, oh, it's a first and a third. I don't know, man. For the Cowboys, it might be a little more expensive because I can tell you right now, the way that whole trade deadline stuff went down last year, how much information got out there, and the feeling that it was the Cowboys leaking a lot of the information about the talks with the Jets. I don't think Jets ownership was very happy about how that whole process went down, feeling like they got burned a little bit by the Cowboys in a process that should have been a little more locked down. It might not be a first and a third from the Cowboys. It might be a little more expensive than that. And I think how many strong safeties, honestly, even a great strong safety, how many strong safeties nowadays in the NFL are teams going to go, hey, we'll give you a first, a third, and then on top of that, we're going to pay you at least $15 million to make you the highest paid safety in the game.
Well, the game is becoming, on the defensive side of the ball, a lot of safeties because how everything's opening up. So, I mean, potentially a much more important position going forward as it was in the past. But what was the things that came out during the trade deadline last year that made people a burn in the saddle? By the way, that is an incredible, what does burn in the saddle mean, first of all?
But like a burr in the saddle, you know, like see, I live in Houston, so whenever somebody's pissed off,
it's like a snake in the boot. It's like a snake. It's a snake in the boot. Got it. Burr in the
yeah, it's the guy. A snake in my boot. Right.
Okay. A burr in the saddle. Okay. So the Jets feel as if the information that the Cowboys leaked last trade deadline was offensive and negative. What was the information that was being leaked on what they were willing to give the Jets for the trade, or what was the information that kind of pissed off the Jets people?
Well, I think it was one of those things where it got out, and there were reporters around the Cowboys where it was sort of like a daily sort of update. Here's where we're at, and there wasn't really much coming from the Jets end of it in terms of, you know, the people around that team. And look, a lot of NFL teams, I mean, you know this, their names get brought up quite a bit at the trade deadline. You know, teams call on guys, and I think sometimes a team can feel like they get burned just for picking up the phone, because the Cowboys call and say, hey, you know, we hear everybody on your roster is available. Is Jamal Adams available? He's a guy we're looking to upgrade his safety. He's a Texas guy. We think he wants to come home. Will McClay, who's high up in our personnel, is close to Jamal Adams' father. George Adams, maybe we know something about where Jamal Adams would like to continue to play his career. You can have those conversations, but then when all of a sudden it all comes out, and it seems to be, you know, one team's media that really ends up being, you know, the people who advance the story. It put the Jets in a situation where all of a sudden Jamal Adams is saying, why would you even pick up the phone? Like, what's going on? Why am I even involved in this? I
thought about this because we had learned that Jamal was upset about the potential being traded. I have no idea what you're supposed to do if you're in that general manager position there. If some team calls you and offers you, I have no idea, because it was alleged that Jets ownership and front office had a conversation with Jamal Adams and told him that he's not on the trading block, right? Because they were trying to unload all the contracts that the previous GM put together. So Joe was trying to do his own thing. He and Jamal Adams have a conversation and tells Jamal, you are not on the trading block. Don't worry about it. Then it starts coming out that the Cowboys are trying to trade for him. So then Jamal loses trust in the general manager. But But if you're that general manager, just like when Jerry Krause had to take calls for Scottie Pippen, it's like, I don't fully know what you're supposed to do there. And I'm normally a person that hates the general manager and loves the player. I don't know what the GM's supposed to do there. If the Cowboys are calling, it's like, is Jamal Adams on trading block? No. It's like, okay, well, then there was potential. You could phrase that as trade talks about
Right.
Jamal Adams if you really wanted to, even though it was trade talk and not an answer to it. I don't know what you're supposed to do there, but I like that Jamal Adams all pissed off at people. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think this is necessarily a negative for the Jets. I mean, I know people are sitting there going, well, this is one of their best players, and this is look, the Jets are becoming relevant because of some of the things, as you said, Joe Douglas is willing to do. If you're 14-2, 13-3. You don't pick up the phone on guys, but it's not a good team. And you're talking about rehashing the entire roster there. There's not many guys you don't pick up the phone on. Maybe Sam Darnold. That's it.
Oh, they just brought in Joe Flacco, so Sam Darnold needs to have his head on a swivel.